Mosi stands at the edge of the sacred cave, the weight of ancient warnings pressing heavily on his shoulders. The forest around him is eerily quiet, the usual sounds of the night stilled by an invisible force. He glances back toward the village, where the flickering lights seem distant and far removed from the danger he now faces. The elders' voices echo in his mind, each word like a stone sinking deeper into his chest. The cave does not forgive. His eyes turn to the dark mouth of the Ashor cave, a place of mystery and fear. His pulse quickens as he recalls the chilling stories of those who had entered and never returned. Treasures beyond imagining were said to lie inside, but at what cost? He had heard of men driven by greed, who had paid with their lives. Yet, Mosi cannot resist. The pull of the forbidden is too strong. He takes a deep breath, his hand resting on the blade at his side. The stories had never seemed real, until now. But he's here, at the threshold, standing between the unknown and what he believes is his destiny. He must go in. The memories flood him, unbidden. He remembers the whispers from his childhood, tales spun by the elders, carried through generations like threads in a tapestry. The cave was a place of power, yes, but also a place of danger. It was said that the spirits within could be either protectors or punishers, bending to no man. A sharp laugh escapes him. The stories are just that, stories. But even as he thinks this, he cannot silence the voice inside, the one that tells him the price for the treasures within is steep. Many had sought immortality, power, and fame, but none had returned to tell the tale. His father had once ventured in, never to come back. Now it is Mosi's turn to seek the answers. His heart beats louder in his chest. The thrill of the unknown calls to him, urging him onward. But doubts rise like shadows in his mind. The elders' warnings are not mere superstition. He recalls their faces, their eyes filled with fear when they spoke of the curse that lingered over the cave. "You must not enter," the words echo, but he ignores them, his hunger for the unknown driving him deeper into conflict. What if the stories were true? What if the cave was truly cursed, as they said? The thrill of adventure gnaws at him, stronger than his fear. But beneath it there is something else, something darker. He feels the air grow colder, the silence pressing in on him. With a deep breath he steps forward, leaving the safety of the outside world behind. The cave's entrance swallows him whole, the dark, cold air immediately pressing against his skin. Mosi's footsteps echo in the emptiness, a constant reminder of the isolation that surrounds him. With each step, the darkness thickens, wrapping around him like a living thing. The village, once so near, is now far behind, its faint glow nothing more than a memory. Mosi's breath is shallow, his nerves taut. He grips the hilt of his dagger tighter, knowing it offers little protection against whatever waits for him inside. The further he goes, the more the air seems to shift, as though the cave itself is aware of his presence. He senses it. Something is watching him. The deeper he ventures, the more oppressive the cave becomes. The walls pulse with an ancient energy, as if the stones themselves are alive, reacting to his intrusion. Mosi stops and looks around. Strange markings cover the walls, symbols that speak of rituals and sacrifices, blood spilled in the name of power. The hair on the back of his neck stands up. He's not just walking through a cave, he's walking through history. The spirits are awake, and they are waiting. His heart hammers in his chest, and every footstep feels heavier than the last. He tries to shake off the feeling that the walls are closing in on him, but it's impossible to ignore. Something stirs ahead. The hairs on his arms prickle, and a sudden sharp cold sweeps over him. The echo of a scream shatters the silence, distant yet close. Mosi freezes, his blood running cold. His instincts scream at him to turn back, but his legs betray him, locking him in place. The scream is not his, but it feels as though it is. It vibrates in his bones, a warning. His pulse spikes. "Who's there?" His voice shakes, but the only response is the echo of his own words bouncing off the cavern walls. Something stirs in the shadows. Mosi's heart races faster as the air grows colder, more oppressive. He hears it, whispers in the darkness. He strains to make sense of the voices, but they are too soft, too distant, like 100 spirits calling his name at once. His breath comes in shallow gasps as the shadows move closer, flickering at the edges of his vision. Every part of him screams to flee, but his feet remain rooted to the ground, drawn by the promise of answers, or perhaps by something more dangerous. The darkness moves, and Mosi's pulse races faster, the whispers growing louder. A voice calls out, distant yet clear. "You should not be here." Mosi's heart drops as the voice grows nearer. He turns, scanning the cave for the source. His eyes lock onto a figure, barely visible in the darkness. The air feels thick with malevolence. The voice comes again, echoing from the shadows, and Mosi realizes with a sickening certainty he has awoken something far older than himself. The cave is alive, and it is not happy to see him. The days of Mosi's youth in the village of Dooney were full of laughter, the wind carrying the sound of playful banter through the air as he ran beside his father on hunting trips. His life was simple, hunting. In the mornings, sitting around the fire in the evenings with his family, and learning the old stories told by the elders. There were no fears or doubts, only the joy of the chase and the comfort of knowing his father, a revered elder, was there to guide him. The nights were peaceful, filled with the warm glow of the fire and the comforting presence of those who loved him. Mosi had no reason to question the world around him. He was just a boy, surrounded by the care of his community, unaware that the future would soon shatter this calm existence. But one day, that peace would be broken. His father, the man who had guided the village, had returned from the sacred cave, his body drained of life, his face frozen in terror. Mosi's world collapsed in that moment. What had happened? The elders murmured among themselves but refused to speak openly. All that was known was that he had ventured into the cave seeking something, a power, a knowledge, or a secret, and never returned the same. The village was shaken to its core. Fear clung to the air like a thick fog. The once proud father, now only a hushed memory, left behind a trail of confusion. The cave, the source of so much awe and reverence, was now a place of dread. Its mysteries, once coveted, became a curse in the eyes of the villagers. Mosi, a boy no longer, stood on the edge of grief. His father was gone, and with him, any hope of understanding the truth of the cave. The elders spoke in hushed tones of the spirits guarding the cave, of its ancient powers that could not be trifled with. They warned the villagers never to speak of it, never to venture near it. The cave was forbidden. No one who sought to challenge its power would return unscathed. But Mosi's grief, the kind that burned hotter than any fire, soon gave way to something else. Rage. He refused to accept his father's death as a mystery. His father had gone seeking something, and Mosi, with the same stubbornness that ran through his veins, would uncover the truth. The stories of the cave could no longer scare him. If the cave had claimed his father, then it was the cave that Mosi would face. His heart heavy with determination, he sought answers, pushing the fear of the village aside. One evening, an old woman, once an ally of his father, took him aside. Her eyes were tired, weighed down by the burden of truths never spoken. She looked into his eyes, searching for something. Then, with a trembling voice, She spoke. "Your father," she began, "did not fall to the spirits of the cave as they say. He made a pact, a deadly bargain. He sought immortality. The spirits did not grant him that. They claimed him, just as they will claim anyone who dares to seek power. That is not meant for man." Mosi stood frozen, his chest tightening. The words pierced him. His father had sought immortality? He had been so proud, so revered. Why would he throw it all away for such foolishness? It was clear now. Mosi had to face the cave. He had to confront the power that had taken his father, to understand what truly lay inside. But unlike his father, Mosi would not bring gifts or tributes. He would bring only his hunger for answers. He stood tall, his mind set. The village elders, aware of his resolve, came to him with pleading eyes. Their warnings fell on deaf ears. The curse of the cave was nothing more than a tale spun to control the people, to keep them from venturing into the unknown. Mosi's awe, rage drowned out their cries, and his determination hardened like steel. "Mosi." His mother's voice trembled as she caught him before he could leave. "Don't go. It will take you, just as it took your father. No man has ever returned from the cave after midnight. Please, I beg you." But Mosi, his mind clouded with grief and defiance, could not stop. His father's death would not be in vain. He would go, no matter the cost. With a heavy heart, he turned his back on his mother's pleading eyes. He stepped toward the path that led to the cave, the village's lights dimming as the darkness of the night surrounded him. Every step felt like a weight on his chest, but the pull of the cave, the promise of answers, drove him forward. The path was long, and the air grew colder with each step. The village was a distant memory now, fading into the night as the cave loomed ahead. Every footfall echoed in the stillness, but Mosi kept moving forward. He had to know. The air in the cave is still, thick with an ancient presence that seems to breathe through the very walls. Mosi takes his first steps inside, the silence almost deafening. The stone around him is marked with symbols, strange and unsettling, as though the walls themselves are alive with memory. He runs his fingers along the carvings, feeling the weight of countless generations. The markings speak of rituals long forgotten, sacrifices made in the pursuit of power. His pulse quickens. What had his father come here for? What had he sought and lost? Mosi stands still for a moment, letting the silence wash over him, the oppressive weight of the cave wrapping itself around him like a cloak. There's no sound, no movement, just the feeling of something ancient, waiting. The cave, a place that had taken so many before him, now calls to him. The fear that once plagued his dreams begins to take root. Mosi continues forward, the shadows stretching unnaturally. Every step feels heavier than the last. The feeling that something is watching him intensifies with each movement. He feels eyes on him, unseen, but unmistakable. He pauses. The hair on the back of his neck rises. The whispers in the darkness are soft at first, like a breeze rustling through leaves, but they soon grow louder, more urgent. He spins around, but there's nothing. No figure, no sound, only the oppressive silence and the creeping sensation of being hunted. The walls of the cave close in on him, as if mocking his every hesitation. As midnight strikes, the air grows colder. A voice breaks through the stillness, loud and clear, filling the cave with a deep, hollow tone. "Mosi, Mosi, you are not welcome here." The words echo off the walls, reverberating through the cavern like a curse. Mosi's heart races, his breath sharp and fast. He tries to move, but his feet feel like they are bound to the ground. The voice doesn't come from any direction he can pinpoint. It feels as though the cave itself is speaking, the very stone growing alive with menace. He swallows hard, the weight of the words sinking into his chest. He knows then. The cave does not want him here. A twisted figure emerges from the shadows. Mosi's heart skips a beat as he sees it. His father, or at least what's left of him. The man he had revered, the one who had once been so powerful, now stands before him, twisted, consumed by the very greed that led him here. The figure smiles, but there's nothing kind in it. It is a smile of regret, of a soul lost forever to the cave. "Father?" Mosi gasps, his voice barely a whisper. The figure's voice is distant, hollow. "Do you understand now? The cave gives, but only to those who sacrifice everything, and when it takes, it does so without mercy." Before Mosi can react, the ghostly figure lunges toward him, its form blurring like smoke. Mosi draws his dagger in defense, but it vanishes as soon as it appears, leaving nothing but the cold emptiness behind. The voices in the cave swell into a chorus of whispers, growing louder, more chaotic. Mosi staggers back, his hands trembling. He knows the cave's price, and he is already paying it. The whispers continue, swelling like an unstoppable storm. The cave is alive, a thing of hunger and malice. Mosi's breath is ragged, his chest tight as he stumbles forward. He has come too far to turn back now. But the echoes of the lost souls fill the air, each voice a mournful reminder of the price paid for seeking power. Men just like his father, who had entered seeking immortality, revenge, and glory, all lost, their spirits bound to the cave for eternity. In the darkness, Mosi sees them. Shapes flicker in the shadows, faces twisted in agony, their eyes filled with eternal sorrow. They reach out to him, whispering of their mistakes, their regrets. Each one had sought what he now seeks. "You are not the first," one voice says. "You will not be the last." Mosi feels their cold touch, their despair settling into his bones. But he pushes it aside. The cave will not claim him like it did them. He will find the truth, no matter the cost. Deeper into the cave, a figure appears before him. Amina, her eyes glowing with a supernatural light. She steps from the shadows like a force of nature, a spirit bound to the cave by an ancient ritual. Her presence fills the air, and Mosi feels the weight of her power, the gravity of the curse that holds her. "You are not meant to be here." Amina's voice is soft, but it holds the power of centuries. "The cave will take you, just as it took your father." Mosi stands firm. His resolve does not waver. He has come too far. He will not be stopped. Now. "You don't understand," he replies, his voice firm, unyielding. "I'm here to free my father, to claim what is rightfully mine." Amina shakes her head. "You are seeking what the cave cannot give. There is no power here, only destruction." "But," Mosi pushes forward, ignoring her warnings, his heart set on the goal. His father's fate hangs over him like a shadow, and he will not rest until he knows the truth. Ignoring the warnings, Mosi presses deeper into the cave, his mind focused only on the task ahead. The walls close in, the air grows thicker, and the whispers become a roar in his ears. The cave demands everything. Mosi knows this. The power it offers comes at a terrible cost, but he is willing to pay it. His hands grip his dagger tighter as he moves forward, his steps echoing in the growing darkness. The final confrontation awaits, and he is determined to face it. The cave has claimed many, but it will not claim him, not if he can help it. Mosi steps deeper into the cave, his feet crunching on the stone floor. The chamber before him is vast, and the air feels thick with the weight of ages. Ancient symbols cover the walls, etched into the stone with a precision that speaks of a time long past. The markings pulse, almost as if they are alive, warning him of the power that has been trapped here for centuries. Blood-red liquid stains the ground beneath his feet, pooling around strange runes that glow faintly in the darkness. The scent of iron fills his nostrils, and he knows the end is near. With every step, the weight of his journey presses heavier on his shoulders. The memories of his father, his village, and the warnings he ignored flood his mind. He had come seeking the truth, seeking to understand the power that had claimed his father. And now, standing in the heart of the cave, he feels as though the very walls are closing in on him. In the center of the chamber lies a stone tablet, ancient and untouched by time. It is the prize Mosi has sought, the treasure that promises the answers he craves. As he steps closer, the ground trembles beneath his feet. His heart beats faster, and the air thickens, heavy with an ominous energy. The stone tablet pulses in time with his heartbeat, drawing him in. It calls to him, a silent promise of power, knowledge, and the answers he has yearned for. But as Mosi reaches out for the tablet, the ground beneath him shifts violently. He stumbles, his hand brushing the stone, and the world seems to tilt. He hears a low rumble, like the growl of an animal, deep within the earth. His instincts scream at him to run, but he cannot move. He is too close now. The tablet, his father's, fate, lies just within reach. The roar shakes the chamber, so deep it feels as though it comes from the very heart of the earth. A terrifying creature emerges from the shadows. Its massive form towers over Mosi, its eyes glowing with a fierce red light. The air grows cold, and Mosi's breath catches in his throat. The creature steps forward, its voice a guttural growl that echoes through the cave. "No one escapes," it warns, its voice like thunder. The creature's form shifts, its body covered in jagged scales, eyes burning with fury. It is the guardian of the cave, the one who keeps the spirits trapped within. The power of the cave, once a source of legend, now stands before him, embodied in this monstrous form. Mosi's legs shake, but he stands tall, his heart pounding with a mixture of fear and defiance. Desperation fills Mosi. The creature is too powerful, but he refuses to turn back now. His father's spirit, his own hunger for answers. These things drive him forward. Without thinking, he draws his dagger, its blade gleaming in the faint light. He charges at the beast, his body fueled by adrenaline, by the need to survive, to free his father's spirit. But the creature swats him aside like a mere insect, its immense strength sending Mosi crashing into the cave's wall. He groans in pain, but the creature's eyes do not leave him. It is toying with him, its growl a warning that death is near. Mosi struggles to rise, his body battered, but he will not give up. The cave begins to move, its walls closing in around him, trapping him within the chamber. The ground shakes violently as the space becomes smaller, the air growing thick and suffocating. Mosi's heart races. The creature advances, its form a shadow that consumes the light, its red eyes locking onto Mosi. The hope he once felt, the fire that had driven him this far, begins to fade. There is no escape. The cave has claimed him just as it claimed his father. As the walls press in, Mosi's breath becomes shallow, his thoughts scattered. He has come so far, but now, at the final moment, he realizes the price. The power he sought, the answers he craved, are nothing but illusions. The cave demands everything. He has paid the price, and now there is no way out. Just as Mosi feels the weight of despair crushing him, the air shifts. A faint light flickers in the darkness, and a presence fills the space. His father's spirit appears before him, his form flickering, his face filled with sorrow. Mosi's heart skips a beat. He wanted answers, but this is not what he expected. Mosi, his father's voice echoes, filled with regret. The price was never meant to be paid by you. It was my mistake. The words cut deep. Mosi's vision blurs as the creature closes in, its massive form blocking out the light. His body is shaking, his mind spinning. His father's mistake has now become his own. There is no escape. The darkness swallows him whole. The creature lunges toward Mosi, its jaws open wide, ready to end the journey that had cost so much. The world goes black as the creature's strike lands, the sound of its roar reverberating in Mosi's ears. Everything fades away, and the cave, once a place of mystery and promise, becomes nothing more than a tomb, a place where the price of greed and ambition is paid in full. The morning light shines faintly on the lifeless body of Mosi, found just outside the cave. His face is calm, almost serene, as though sleep had come over him in his final moments. But there is something more. His expression carries the weight of sorrow, a depth that suggests understanding, the kind of understanding that only comes when one realizes the true cost of their choices. The villagers gather around, whispering among themselves, but no one dares to speak openly of the horror that lies within the cave. Mosi's body is a reminder, a silent testament to the dangers of the path he chose. The young man who once carried the fire of determination now lies still, his journey over. The elders gather, their faces shadowed with grief and quiet reflection. A heavy silence fills the air, broken only by the faint whispers of the wind through the trees. They had all known, at some level, the risks Mosi faced, but none had dared to intervene. Now, standing around his body, they are left with only the heavy burden of their unspoken fears and the lessons that will echo through the village. For years to come, a soft ethereal light flickers as Amina's spirit reappears. She floats before the elders, her form barely visible, but the energy in the air crackles with her presence. Her voice, though soft, carries the weight of the ages, and every word she speaks seems to reverberate in the hearts of those gathered. Mosi sought power, she begins, her voice heavy with sorrow. But in his quest, he learned too late that the cave does not give without taking. It offers no rewards for those who wish to control its forces. The elders shift uncomfortably, their eyes averted. They know her words are true, but hearing them spoken aloud, especially now, feels like the sting of a scorpion's bite. Amina's presence fills the space with a sadness that they cannot escape. They had warned him, had they not? Yet in the end, the young man had been too eager, too blinded by his grief and hunger for answers. Amina's spirit floats closer to the gathered elders, her form flickering as if she were struggling to hold herself together. The cave, she continues, does not yield to those who seek to dominate it. It grants power only to those who approach with humility, with respect for its sacred nature. Mosi, like so many before him, sought to bend the cave's power to his will, and he paid the price. Her voice cracks on the last words, the sadness in her tone becoming palpable. The elders shift uneasily, guilt creeping into their hearts. They had always known the dangers of the cave, but did they truly understand its power? Or had they too been blinded by the allure of what lay within? The elders remain silent, their eyes downcast as they reflect on Amina's words. The cave, the very source of the power they had once revered, now feels like an unforgiving force. The idea that the cave gives power only to those who respect it, who approach it with humility, weighs heavily on the elders. For so long they had upheld the sacredness of the cave without fully grasping the consequences of trying to control it. The cave is not a tool to be wielded by the hands of man, one elder mutters softly, though the words seemed to weigh on him more than he had expected. "It is not for us to dominate, but for us to learn from. We were wrong to think we could master it." Another elder nods slowly, his face etched with the lines of age and regret. "And we were wrong to let him go, knowing what the cave does to those who seek to control it. Mosi's death is on all of us." The elders gather in quiet reflection, their minds heavy with the knowledge of Mosi's fate. They sit in a circle, the weight of their decisions pressing down on them like the weight of the world. The air is thick with silence as they each process the loss. Mosi's death was not just his own, but a loss shared by the village, by the community that had once watched him grow. "We must do better," one elder says, his voice filled with determination. "We must teach the next generation the price of greed, the price of seeking power that is not meant for them. We cannot let his death be in vain." The others nod in agreement, their faces solemn. They knew that the story of Mosi would be told again and again to warn others of the dangers of unchecked ambition. But in the end, the elders understood that the lesson would not just be for the young, but for everyone. They had been too quick to offer guidance, too eager to keep the village's peace. Now, they must face the consequences of their actions. Mosi's story becomes a cautionary tale, a warning that will be passed down through the generations. The elders speak of his fate, their voices carrying the weight of his journey, his choices, and his death. "Some things are not meant to be understood," an elder murmurs, his voice low and grave. "Some forces are too powerful, too sacred, for us to control." Mosi thought he could conquer them, but the cave gave him no mercy. And so, the tale of Mosi lives on. His name is spoken with a mix of sorrow and reverence. The elders share his story around the fire, passing it to the younger ones, reminding them of the cave's power and the cost of attempting to control forces that are beyond understanding. Through Mosi's tragedy, the village learns a lesson that will guide them for generations, that there is wisdom in humility and strength in respecting what is sacred. The cave, once seen as a place of power and mystery, is now viewed as a reminder of the price of greed, the cost of ambition, and the need for balance. And with this wisdom, the village continues, forever changed by the story of a son's silent end. The village gathers at the foot of the sacred cave, the elders encircling Mosi's lifeless body. The air is heavy with the weight of their thoughts. They had warned him, but his ambition had driven him beyond the bounds of wisdom. Now, as they stand in the quiet presence of his death, the elders are left to ponder the price of his desires. One elder, his face drawn with the weight of years and regrets, speaks first. His ambition was too great. He sought power, sought answers that no man should have. He thought he could control the cave. But the cave does not bend to human will. It devours those who think they can master it. Another elder nods slowly, her eyes distant. The spirits have no mercy for those who approach the sacred forces with arrogance. Mosi's fate is a reminder for us all. Their voices carry a quiet sorrow, each elder reflecting on the tragedy. They had all known the risk, but had they truly understood the cost? It is too late now, but the lesson must be learned. One elder, whose voice is calm yet firm, warns the others, his words sinking into the earth. Greed is a temptation that clouds the mind. The power we seek is often not ours to claim. Mosi believed he could control the spirits of the cave, but in the end, he paid the ultimate price. There is no reward for such greed. The other elders remain silent, the truth of his words hanging in the air. They know that the hunger for power is a dangerous thing, and Mosi's death is a bitter reminder of that fact. The spirits, the elder continues, are not to be manipulated. They do not forgive those who try to steal what is sacred. Let this be a lesson to anyone who dares to follow in his footsteps." The elders continue to speak, their voices low and thoughtful. They turn their attention to the cave, the source of all the tragedy. It has long been revered, but now its true purpose is clearer than ever. The cave is not a place for treasure, one elder says, nor is it a tool to be wielded by the hands of men. It is a sacred space, a place where the balance between man and nature must be respected. Those who seek to control its power will find themselves consumed by it. Another elder agrees, adding, "The cave is not meant to give riches. It holds knowledge, yes, but it is not for the greedy. It has its own ways of teaching. Mosi sought to take, but the cave only gives to those who approach with humility. As the elders share their reflections, they realize the lesson they must pass on. Mosi's actions," one elder speaks softly, "show us the dangers of pride. He thought he could face the cave and come out victorious. But the true power of the cave lies not in domination, but in reverence." The others nod, the weight of the truth settling over them like a blanket. It is the message they must pass down. The cave will not yield to the arrogant, the selfish, or the proud. It only responds to those who respect it, who understand their place in the grand design of things. Mosi's tragic end will not be forgotten. The elders know that his story must be passed down, a warning to the future. "Let his tale be told," one elder says, "so that others may learn. Some things are better left unknown. Some powers are not meant to be controlled. Mosi's death will stand as a reminder of the consequences of ignoring the sacred forces." The others agree, their voices heavy with the knowledge that the price of Mosi's ambition is now a part of the village's history. It is a story that must be shared, so that no one forgets the danger of seeking power without understanding its cost. As the elders speak, the village listens. The lesson of Mosi's death is not just for the young, but for everyone. The village is reminded of the importance of respecting the forces beyond human understanding, of acknowledging the sacred balance that holds the world together. Mosi's fate will serve as a legacy of caution for generations to come. The cave, once seen as a place of power and possibility, is now a symbol of the dangers of greed. The village will remember, and in time, they will pass on this knowledge to those who will walk the same path.